The wrestling world just witnessed something nobody saw coming, and the shockwaves are still reverberating through every corner of the WWE Universe. Becky Lynch has turned her back on Seth Rollins and aligned herself with the Vision in a moment that will go down as one of the most jaw-dropping betrayals in recent WWE history. This isn't just another storyline twist, folks. This is the kind of game-changing moment that reshapes everything we thought we knew about these superstars and their relationships both inside and outside the ring. If you're a wrestling fan who wants to stay on top of every major development in WWE, then hit that subscribe button right now, because we're diving deep into this story and you won't want to miss a single detail. The stage was set during what was supposed to be a routine tag team match on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins had been dealing with mounting pressure from multiple rivals, and it seemed like Becky was there to have his back, as she always had been throughout their relationship. The two of them have been one of wrestling's power couples for years now, and fans have watched their journey together both as performers and as partners in real life. They've supported each other through career-defining moments, championship reigns, and personal milestones that made them one of the most beloved duos in all of professional wrestling. Nobody had any reason to suspect that this particular night would be any different from the countless times they'd stood side by side in the past. The Vision had been making their presence felt across WWE programming for weeks now, and their mysterious agenda had everyone talking. This group had been recruiting members strategically, and their influence seemed to be growing with each passing show. They'd been targeting specific superstars who they believed could help them achieve their goals of reshaping WWE in their image. Seth Rollins had been openly vocal about opposing the Vision and their methods, which naturally made him one of their primary targets. He'd cut promos calling them out and challenging their authority at every opportunity. The tension between Seth and the Vision had been building to a breaking point, and everyone knew some kind of confrontation was inevitable. What nobody expected was that the confrontation would involve Becky Lynch turning on her own husband. The match itself had been intense, with Seth fighting off multiple members of the Vision who seemed determined to make an example out of him. Becky had been ringside cheering him on, and at several points she'd even gotten involved to help Seth fend off interference from the Vision's associates. Everything seemed to be going according to script until the final moments of the match, when Seth was setting up for his signature stomp finisher. The crowd was on their feet anticipating the victory when suddenly Becky slid into the ring behind him. The confusion on Seth's face when he turned around and saw Becky standing there was genuine and heartbreaking. For a split second you could see him trying to process what was happening and why his wife was in the ring at that particular moment. Before he could say anything or react, Becky delivered a devastating kick that dropped him to his knees. The arena erupted in shocked gasps and disbelieving screams as Becky followed up with her manhandle slam, driving Seth into the mat with brutal force. The referee was stunned, and the commentary team was struggling to find words to describe what they were witnessing. This wasn't supposed to happen, and yet it was unfolding right before everyone's eyes in real time. Members of the Vision immediately flooded the ring surrounding Becky as she stood over Seth's fallen body. The leader of the Vision extended a hand to Becky, and without hesitation she accepted it, raising her arm in unity with the group that had been tormenting her husband for weeks. The symbolism of that moment was crushing, as Becky Lynch, the man who had fought so hard to earn respect and build her legacy, was now standing with the very people who represented everything Seth had been fighting against. The crowd's reaction was a mixture of boos and stunned silence as they tried to comprehend this radical shift in allegiance. Seth slowly pulled himself up, using the ropes, his face a mask of pain and betrayal as he looked at Becky standing with the Vision. You could see him mouthing words to her, trying to understand why this was happening, but Becky's expression was cold and resolute. There was no remorse in her eyes, no hesitation in her stance. She had made her choice, and she was standing by it even as her husband struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what had just occurred. The Vision's music hit and they made their exit from the ring, with Becky walking alongside them, leaving Seth alone in the ring to deal with the emotional and physical aftermath of the betrayal. The following week's episode of Raw opened with Seth Rollins demanding answers. He came out to the ring visibly emotional and called for Becky to come out and explain herself face to face. The crowd was firmly behind Seth, chanting his name and showing their support as he tried to make sense of what had happened. After several tense minutes, Becky's music hit and she walked out, not alone but flanked by members of the Vision. Her entire demeanor had changed from the supportive partner everyone knew to something harder and more calculating. She grabbed a microphone and for the first time since the betrayal she spoke directly to Seth and the WWE Universe about her decision. Becky's explanation was cold and calculated as she laid out her reasons for joining the Vision. She talked about feeling overshadowed and undervalued despite everything she had accomplished in her career. She spoke about how she had always been expected to play second fiddle to Seth's storylines, and how the Vision had shown her a path where she could reclaim her position at the top of WWE without having to live in anyone's shadow. Her words cut deep as she detailed moments where she felt her achievements had been diminished or overlooked in favor of highlighting Seth's career. She accused him of being complicit in holding her back even if it wasn't intentional, and claimed that joining the Vision was about finally putting herself first. Seth tried to respond, tried to reason with her and remind her of everything they'd built together both personally and professionally. He brought up their history, the moments they'd shared and the future they'd planned together. But Becky was unmoved by his pleas. She told him that the Becky Lynch he knew was gone and that the man had evolved into something greater than what she could have been standing beside him. The Vision had offered her an opportunity to reshape WWE in a way that prioritized her ambitions and goals, and she wasn't going to let sentiment stand in the way of that opportunity. The segment ended with Becky walking away from Seth, once again leaving him in the ring to process the full weight of her betrayal. The backstage reactions to this shocking turn of events have been flooding social media and wrestling news outlets. Fellow WWE superstars have been weighing in with their thoughts on Becky's decision and the implications it has for the entire roster. Some have expressed sympathy for Seth, while others have questioned whether there was more to the story than what was being shown on television. The wrestling community is divided, with some fans supporting Becky's character decision to prioritize her own career, while others view it as an unforgivable betrayal that crosses too many lines, both in storyline and in terms of how it reflects on real-life relationships. The Vision's recruitment of Becky Lynch represents a significant power shift within WWE's landscape. This group already had considerable influence and resources, but adding someone of Becky's caliber and star power takes them to an entirely different level. Becky brings legitimacy, credibility, and a proven track record of main event success that instantly elevates the Vision's status. She's not just another member, she's a statement acquisition that sends a message to the entire WWE roster about the Vision's reach and ambition. With Becky in their ranks, the Vision now has representation across both the men's and women's divisions, creating multiple avenues for them to exert their influence and pursue their agenda. Seth Rollins now finds himself in an incredibly difficult position, both professionally and personally. He's dealing with the betrayal from someone he trusted implicitly, while also facing the very real threat of the Vision, who now have even more reason to target him. Seth's character has always been defined by his resilience and ability to overcome adversity, but this situation tests him in ways that go beyond typical wrestling rivalries. He's not just fighting for championships or pride anymore, he's fighting to understand how his life partner could turn against him so completely. The emotional complexity of this storyline adds layers that make it more compelling than a standard heel turn, because the real-life connection between Seth and Becky makes every interaction feel more intense and consequential. The women's division is also feeling the impact of Becky's alignment with the Vision. Her presence in the group creates new dynamics and potential feuds that could reshape the entire division's hierarchy. Other female superstars now have to consider whether they'll be targeted by the Vision or potentially recruited to join their cause. Becky's history with many of the women on the roster means that old rivalries could be reignited under new circumstances, and friendships could be tested as allegiances shift. The Vision's expansion into the women's division through Becky opens up storytelling possibilities that connect previously separate narratives into one overarching plot that could dominate WWE programming for months to come. Behind the scenes, there's speculation about how the storyline came together and what it means for both Seth and Becky's real-life relationship. WWE has always blurred the lines between reality and fiction, but this angle takes that concept to an extreme level. The company has clearly decided to use the real-life connection between these two performers to add authenticity and emotional weight to the story. It's a risky move because it requires both Seth and Becky to put aspects of their personal lives on display in ways that could be uncomfortable or complicated. However, both performers are consummate professionals who understand the business and the potential for this storyline to create compelling television that keeps fans invested and engaged. The question now becomes, where does this story go from here? Will Seth try to win Becky back, or will he accept that she's made her choice and move forward with plans for revenge against the Vision? Will Becky's alignment with the group be permanent, or is there a possibility for redemption and reconciliation down the line? The Vision's ultimate goals remain somewhat mysterious, which adds another layer of intrigue to Becky's involvement with them. Are they planning a complete takeover of WWE's power structure, or is there a more specific objective they're working toward that required recruiting someone like Becky to achieve? These questions keep fans theorizing and discussing the storyline, which is exactly what WWE wants. From an in-ring perspective, Becky's addition to the Vision creates exciting match possibilities. Imagine Becky teaming with other Vision members in mixed tag matches against teams that include Seth or Becky facing off against Seth's allies in singles competition. The personal animosity underlying these matches would make them must-see television. WWE could also use this angle to build toward a major pay-per-view confrontation between Seth and the Vision, with Becky's presence adding stakes and drama to an already heated rivalry. The potential for classic moments and unforgettable matches is enormous if WWE books the storyline correctly. The merchandise implications alone make this angle significant from a business standpoint. New Becky Lynch gear aligned with the Vision will likely sell well among fans who appreciate her character's bold decision, while Seth Rollins' merchandise will appeal to fans who sympathize with his position as the betrayed husband. WWE excels at creating these kinds of polarizing storylines that allow fans to choose sides and express their support through purchases and social media engagement. The company's marketing machine is undoubtedly already working on campaigns to maximize the commercial potential of this dramatic turn of events. Social media has exploded with reactions ranging from shock to excitement to anger about how the storyline is playing out. Wrestling fans are passionate and they have strong opinions about character decisions and storyline directions. The conversation around Becky's betrayal has dominated wrestling Twitter and YouTube, with everyone offering their takes on what it means and where it's headed. Some fans have praised WWE for taking risks and creating genuinely surprising moments, while others have criticized the decision to use a real-life couple in such a dramatic and potentially divisive storyline. Regardless of individual opinions, the fact that everyone is talking about it means WWE has succeeded in creating buzz and generating interest. The legacy implications for both Seth and Becky are significant. How this storyline concludes will impact how fans remember this period in both performers' careers. If it's handled well, it could be seen as a creative high point that showcased their range as performers and their willingness to push boundaries. If it's mishandled, it could be remembered as an uncomfortable angle that crossed lines and exploited their real-life relationship for cheap shock value. Both Seth and Becky are savvy enough to understand these stakes, and they'll undoubtedly work hard to ensure the story is told in a way that enhances their legacies rather than tarnishing them. The Vision's mysterious nature makes them perfect antagonists for this type of storyline. Their motivations aren't entirely clear, which keeps fans guessing and prevents the narrative from becoming predictable. Becky's recruitment adds another piece to the puzzle as fans try to understand what the Vision truly wants and how Becky fits into their larger plans. This ambiguity creates room for surprising reveals and unexpected twists that can keep the storyline fresh and engaging over an extended period. WWE has struggled at times with long-term storytelling, but this angle has the ingredients necessary for a sustained narrative that builds momentum rather than losing steam. Other superstars will inevitably get drawn into this conflict as the storyline expands. Seth will need allies to combat the Vision's growing power, and those alliances will create new dynamics and relationships. Similarly, the Vision may recruit additional members who see value in their mission and want to benefit from their protection and resources. These expanding circles of involvement will keep the storyline feeling active and relevant across multiple segments and shows rather than being confined to occasional interactions between the main players. The betrayal itself ranks among the most shocking moments in recent WWE history precisely because of the real-life element involved. Fans have watched Seth and Becky's relationship develop over years through social media posts, interviews, and documentary footage. They've celebrated the couple's milestones and supported them through personal and professional challenges. That investment makes Becky's in-character betrayal feel more impactful because it subverts expectations built on real emotional connections that exist outside the wrestling storyline. WWE has tapped into something powerful here by using that existing foundation to amplify the dramatic effect of the heel turn. Looking ahead, WWE has numerous options for how to develop this storyline. They could go the route of eventual reconciliation, with Becky eventually realizing her mistake and returning to Seth's side after the Vision's true colors are revealed. Alternatively, they could commit to keeping them opposed for an extended period, allowing both performers to explore their characters in new ways without the relationship angle constraining their creative choices. There's also the possibility of Seth eventually joining the Vision himself if WWE wants to shock fans with another twist. The flexibility built into this angle gives WWE's creative team room to adapt based on fan reactions and other booking considerations. The industry as a whole is watching this storyline closely to see how it plays out and what kind of response it generates. Wrestling thrives on personal drama and emotional stakes, so an angle built around a real couple facing fictional conflict has inherent appeal. If WWE executes this properly, it could serve as a template for how to use real-life relationships to enhance storytelling without crossing ethical lines or making performers uncomfortable. Other promotions may take notes on what works and what doesn't as they develop their own programming and consider similar approaches to blending reality with fiction. This moment represents a turning point not just for the characters involved but potentially for WWE's entire creative direction. The company has been criticized at times for playing it safe and relying on predictable formulas. This storyline shows a willingness to take chances and trust that fans will respond to bold, unpredictable storytelling even when it involves controversial choices. If the experiment succeeds, it could encourage WWE to take more creative risks in the future and push boundaries in ways that make their product feel more exciting and less formulaic. The emotional core of this story resonates because betrayal is a universal experience that people can relate to regardless of whether they're wrestling fans. Everyone has felt the sting of broken trust or questioned decisions made by people they care about. By grounding this wrestling angle in those relatable human emotions, WWE creates a story that works on multiple levels, appealing to hardcore fans who appreciate the in-ring implications while also connecting with casual viewers who respond to the dramatic interpersonal conflict. As this saga continues to unfold, every appearance by Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch will be must-see television. Fans will tune in hoping for confrontations, updates, or new developments in this evolving story. That sustained interest is exactly what WWE needs to maintain ratings and keep audiences engaged across their various platforms. The investment fans have made in this storyline creates momentum that can carry over into other segments and storylines, creating a rising tide that lifts the entire product. The wrestling world has been forever changed by what happened when Becky Lynch turned her back on Seth Rollins and embraced the Vision. This isn't just another angle that will be forgotten in a few weeks. This is a defining moment that will be discussed and analyzed for years to come. The repercussions are still playing out and nobody knows exactly where this road leads, but everyone will be watching every step of the way. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss any updates, analysis, or breaking news about this incredible storyline and everything else happening in the world of WWE, because this is just the beginning of what promises to be an unforgettable chapter in wrestling history.